Astrapak specialises in plastic packaging, both flexibles and rigids. It has a market cap of 980 million rand, a price to earnings ratio of 41, and skipped its dividend in its last reported results. Ooh, and look at that. As a result, so it's not a result of skipping the dividend, but that is not good news flow. And but we've been just generally trending negatively on the share price, Viv.
Yes, I mean, look, this is one of the exceptions, I think, to the whole packaging story that we've been talking about so far. Look, it's a much smaller company than any of the others we've talked about. It's under R1 billion, so that could be an issue. You know, we're talking about economies of scale. We're talking about the ability to actually invest capital, and a company like this here may not be able to keep up with some of the stuff that's happening.
So they can't hold their own in the competitive landscape?
Possibly, due to the smaller size.
Look, they lost a bit of market share. They did a bunch of deals which didn't work out. The CEO departed, a guy by the name of Baglioni, I think. Then the CFO acted for a while. New CEO in here, Robin Moore, ex-Nampak guy, I think. In the Sunday Times a couple of weeks ago, they advertised every single management job at the company. So it's like one of those cases where the existing oaks are being told, well, you must reapply for your job, and external people are being considered. So Mr. Moore looks as though he's going to sweep clean here. But I think they've got a lot of work to do before they recover the
Can they hold their
the
shareholders at bay while they try and sweep clean?
Yeah, look, the biggest shareholder, I think, in the past probably still is the Royal Bafokeng, who picked up like a 20% stake in an empowerment transaction a few years ago. I'm not sure who else has a big stake apart from that, but I don't think the shareholders, I don't know, who's still there is probably still fairly committed, because as you can see, the share price hasn't done well.
Is there something worth buying? Perhaps a Nampak looking to pick up Astrapak, or is that out of the question?
But I don't know if the synergies would work there. As Paul mentioned, there's big restructuring happening at the moment. They're basically consolidating different sectors or different internal subsidiaries within the company to make them more, I think, logical. I mean, there's a chance they could turn it around. They've fallen enough, and there's, once you're at the bottom, that's the best way to actually turn things around. That being said, we haven't seen evidence of that as yet. We are seeing the signs of a turnaround. We haven't seen whether or not it's working or not at the moment.
Is there any chance of Brian Joffe looking at this as perhaps when Nampak was battling to do a turnaround story? Too small?
Well, maybe not. It's about R1 billion market cap, as you read there, so that's not too bad. But it's not as though it doesn't have lots of competition. It's got plenty of competition. They've got some nice products. I think Tetra Pak is theirs, which makes most of those milk cartons and stuff like that. I may be wrong. But I just think I'm not a big believer in turnaround stories, because I sense generally that the share price in the market moves on thin trade in advance of a turnaround. And often people are pie in the sky, paying for the turnaround before it's actually even happened. So there's potential here for disappointment, more kitchen sinking of the earnings. No, I think we must wait at least a year before we get excited.
So news is not good, hot or not on Astrapak?
I agree with Paul. Until we see signs it's working, I don't believe in turnarounds. So I'm not hot on the stock.
Hot or not, Paul?
Don't believe in turnarounds. It's like you don't believe in fairy tales. Okay, no, not hot.